Hi, and welcome back to part 2 of this drink in a hand art video, where we are attempting to paint a bottle of wine and a wine glass to reflect partly to reflect the light and partly to reflect the festive season that we're in at the moment. In part 1, we painted the wine bottle basically. And for this, we did 3 strokes of green. We rounded off the shoulders of the wine bottle and made a curve at the bottom. And then we painted 2/3 of the way across with a very dark colour to show the wine where the light couldn't get through. And then what seems to happen when you paint a wine bottle is that the light escapes in the bottom right-hand corner. So we had some of the red of the wine showing here on the right hand side, and then this lovely neon pink, the magic neon pink, in the bottom right hand corner to show the light creeping out at that point. Then we popped some white on the left hand side, which where the light is hitting the glass, and some darker stuff down the right hand side, and that was about it. We then popped in a background to tidy up the wine bottle and a table and some shadows. And before we did the background, we attempted to draw just with a little brush and some white the shape of a wine glass. So the aim today is to try and turn this into something which looks like a glass of wine, and to just tidy up the painting as a whole so it looks a bit more finished. Now, something I didn't mention last time, because we were just using the paints, is the possibility of using some oil pastels. So in the same way that when you start a painting, if you paint the canvas a different colour, it gives you something to do and stops you feeling nervous about putting stuff on the canvas. I've learnt this summer that what you can do in between sessions of painting is scribble on your background, in particular with oil pastels. So I'm looking in here for something which is maybe the same kind of colour as the background, or similar. Here's a kind of very pale blue, and a bit more of another blue. And what I've seen other artists do is then just literally scribble on. Again, because we're going to improve the background, so not much of this is going to show through, but some of it will show through. So partly it gives you a bit of fun. You can just have a scribble, and also that little bits of it will show through when the painting is finished, and that might make us look like a bit more of an expert. So I'm using some green now on the bottom bit. So it doesn't show very much, but it will show a bit when we finish. Okay, so I think what we're going to do now is attempt to do a little bit more with this wine glass. So I'm using my little brush again here, just like I did when we did the clear glass vase, and I'm going to try and make the shape of the glass more glass-like, particularly on the side of the light. I'm not going to bother with it too much on the side where the light isn't meant to be catching, but on the side of the light I'm going to try and draw a thin line where the edge of the glass should be. Okay. Now I'm going to draw in a circle or an oval to represent the top of the wine. It doesn't look much like an oval, but you get the impression. I might not have got the angle right there. Let's see if I can improve that a little bit. I think it should really be a little bit more like that. Now, in the same way with the wine bottle, that although the light is coming from left to right, on the left hand side the light bumps into the wine, thick red wine, and it can't get through it. So I think what happens is that that bit is very dark again. And then it starts to, some of the red starts to show through, so we put in some of the red here. Again, Bob would be doing this with a much bigger brush, and I'm really sorry for being so hopeless about this. Put in the colour of the wine there. And maybe some of this would be also escape into the stem. Some of the colour would show maybe in the stem. I'm not sure if that's right. Maybe a little bit of it would show around the top. Again, I don't know if that's right. That might not be right. We might have to change that. And then the neon pink on the far right, where the light is actually escaping. I don't know if this is right or not, but I can, as I'm talking it through, I'm beginning to see the principle a little bit better about how this light works on a wine glass. Now we have to put some, because where there's no wine, what we can see through the glass is the background. So now we have to paint some of the background colour at the top of the glass. So our background colour was some blue and white. So we'll put some of that in there. The other thing I did while in the break was, I haven't changed my water. For my water tubs, I cut off milk cartons because they're very big and very stable, less likely to tip over in the, rather than use a glass or something like that. Also, they're easy to replace. Okay, so I've attempted to do that. Now again, and through the base, you would be seeing the colour of the table or tablecloth. So let's just put that in there as well. When Bob does it, he seems to do just 3 strokes, and it's done. The other thing he says is, with all these things, is just practice, practice, practice. And he says that in the morning, just as warm-up exercises, he will do half a dozen of these, just to, and that makes you more confident, I think, about your brush strokes. And I can see there's something in that, rather than just saying, oh, this bottle of wine has got to be the perfect thing. Okay, so now we've done the basics, but the light, I think, would also be catching on the glass down here. So I'm going to put some white strokes down there, and maybe on the base as well. The white I use is this for this kind of stuff is titanium white, because that's the very strong white. I think, right, that's heading in the right direction, I think. I think to show off that base, we might want a little bit of black around the, you know, the shadow, or it might not be black, but some dark colour just to show off around the bottom here. Show that it is actually sitting on this table. And do you remember, or you may not remember, but in part one of this video, I said that I was going to put out on the palette a little bit of yellow, and to again to add some reflection just in there with the white on the left hand side of the shoulder. I would just smudge it in some way. Well, I think that's all right, like that. So now what I'm going to do is paint more strongly the background. So we've already decided it's going to be some kind of light blue. I don't think it matters too much what sort. And here we go. See if that's a good colour. I think it would be nice if it was a little bit more greeny blue. But this is just a matter of personal taste, isn't it? So, and I don't want to paint it on so thickly that I can't see any of my crayon marks or my oil pastel marks. And again, I was using oil pastels, but equally you could have used some crayons, anything, pencil. Until this summer, I didn't know that you could do that between layers. Just scribble on the painting to give you confidence and to add extra kind of depth to your painting. It doesn't matter if your brush strokes show. This is meant to not look, it's not meant to look fine and perfect. You're not painting a wall. You are just and remember, with this semi-abstract stuff, you're just giving the impression of a wine bottle, the impression of a wine glass, the impression of a wall behind, and the impression of a table. So in a way, the looser it is, probably the better. The more like a bit of actual artwork it would look. Finish there. And I wasn't quite sure initially how much use it would be to you to be able to paint a wine bottle and a glass of wine. But of course, what Bob does is he goes on and he builds on that. I'm not going to do any more now. As with all the paintings, what I would normally do from this is hang it on a wall and look at it, and then decide in a couple of days what else it needs doing to it. But I hope you feel that is that explains in some way how to get the impression of a bottle of wine and a wine glass. And then what you can do, as I said, what Bob would do is he would then build on the painting. So here's where I had a go of I had my bottle of wine and a wine glass, and then I added in a vase of or I attempted to add in a vase with some paintbrushes. But it could be anything. It could be, you could have a vase of flowers here, and that might be quite nice. You could build your still life into more of a full picture. So I hope that's helpful. If it has been helpful for you, it would be wonderful if you'd subscribe, so that as the other videos come out, you can see them and you can decide which ones are good for you. In the meantime, if you are at the stage of joining in the festivities, do have a wonderful time. Thank you.